Russell was my son, and he truly had the biggest heart I've ever seen for his fellow man. And one of the things that came out of his passing is the very simple fact that everyone in the fire service, everyone that happens to be a EMT or a paramedic, policeman, it does not matter. He has the heart that beats inside of each and every one of those that are in service to the people around them. I tried to get him to get out of that, and he said, "Dad, this is what God wants me to do." So no longer could I say that. I said, just take care of yourself. He truly was a hero in everybody's mind, and certainly in mine. And he died doing what he wanted to do. He paid that price that each and every person knows that they're going to have to pay one day. Russell always wanted to be a firefighter. He was a first responder. He was a volunteer fireman in St. Francisville, in Wakefield in particular. He became the firefighter, paid firefighter. He was also a policeman and a sheriff. It was just amazing to see that he worked himself up to deputy chief in the West Feliciana Parish Fire District. And wow, that's pretty good for a young man of 48. But I tell everybody that you need to have a nuclear power plant in the place where you serve as fire chief. That's when you realize that his job was way, way bigger than most chiefs have. He always wanted to serve people. And he found the avenue that he could choose that would put him at the highest point. And that's the road he chose. And I'll never regret it. He won't either. Russell started early, most probably be at 16. He wanted to be a volunteer fire person, and I was. And so he wanted to follow in my steps. And of course, I moved away, and he kept on going. He finished all the work that he needed at Louisiana State University. He also went to Texas A as the EM fire training. He was anything that he could do to make himself a better person and a better fireman. He entered the fire corps with about 65 certificates of achievement for hazmat, just everything that he could do to be the best that he could be. But he started at 17. He stayed in the fire service all the time he was doing something else. And he left it at 48. That's what you call a lifetime of serving people. The worst thing a fire chief wants to do is to see his first responders and put sirens on their cars and just say a prayer that they didn't hurt anybody while they were going to the fire. And Russell was super enthusiastic about it. He couldn't wait to get hands-on in anything, and he just grew with the program that West Feliciana started. And of course, it blossomed him into what he truly wanted to be. I always had a tremendous sense of pride in my son. He was one of those young men that you never had to worry about. He didn't do anything that would cast a bad shadow on himself or his family. He conducted himself as a true hero, that realizing that when eyes were on him, young people were watching too. And so therefore he did the very best he could do to set an example by living the way he lived. and by doing what he did well. Russell took upon himself to educate the young people in high school. He taught first responder training at West Feliciana Parish High School. He knew every kid in the parish. And when I say that, that's a slight exaggeration, but certainly everybody went to school and worked with Russell. They formed friendships that lasted forever. Well, he left a legacy for his son and his daughter, and especially his wife. She was proud of his accomplishments, but I still give her the credit for making him realize what he had, the potential he had, because she was the strength in that relationship, and it just makes me proud to know that she was so instrumental in letting him do what he wanted to do, and all the while keeping him in check. There is no greater love that a father wants for his child, and certainly me being a pastor. I'll never forget one Wednesday night, he called me and said that he had given his heart, excuse me, he had given his heart to the Lord. And I hung up the phone, and he called me back and said, "Why'd you hang up?" I said, "You don't want to see your daddy cry, do you?" Russell carried that with him, with everybody he met. He knew that he was doing what God intended for him to do. And I think that he was true to that in every facet. His religion was strong. He told me as a paramedic that they had a lot of demigods out there, that they didn't truly realize that God was doing it all and they were just helping. But he called them that, to let him know that he was humble enough to understand what his lot in life was. It wasn't to be a hero. His lot in life was to do what God wanted him to do in the manner in which he wanted him to do it, which is incredible. You know, there's a song that says, it's in the book, it's all the way in the back. We know how the story, we know that we win. And that in itself, and the burden that he had for people who were a little bit lost or a lot lost, he always shared with them his religion. And in my instance, that's every day that I talk and visit the sick and stuff like that. That's my obligation and my responsibility. And that's, well, Russell's, kind of picked up on it. He said, you visit a lot, and so I visit on the job a lot.